Hello, it's Diana back again. So we read about the baby in the reeds, which is Moses, that becomes the prince of Egypt. So now we're going to go into the reading of the word of the plagues. Now we're going to read about Moses as he grew up and the plagues. So it goes with the story about the baby in the reeds, and it's Moses, the prince of Egypt. The plague. You will find it in Exodus chapter 2 through 12. Moses grew up strong and bold, but one day he killed an Egyptian for beating a Hebrew and had to run away to Midian to escape Pharaoh's anger. There he married a shepherdess named Zipporah, and he became a shepherd too. One day God spoke to Moses. God told Moses that he had seen the suffering of his people in Egypt and had chosen Moses to lead them out of their slavery. Moses found it hard to believe that he had been chosen to save God's people, but he agreed to do what God had told him. Moses returned to Egypt. He and his brother Aaron went to see Pharaoh. "Let my people go out in the desert and worship God," Moses said. But Pharaoh's heart was so hardened, and he would not listen. Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh again. Aaron performed miracles for Pharaoh to show him that he and Moses had been sent by God. But still, Pharaoh would not listen to them. The Lord struck the land of Egypt with many plagues. He turned the Nile River into blood and overran Egypt with frogs and gnats and locusts and flies. He killed their livestock, covered the people with sores, destroyed the crops with hail, and covered the land with darkness. Finally, because Pharaoh still would not let the Hebrew people go, the Lord told Moses, "I'm sending one more plague on Pharaoh and the land. Then he will let my people go. Tonight, every firstborn son and animal in Egypt will die. Tell all the people of Israel to spread the lamb's blood on their door and stay inside, and I will pass over their homes and they will be spared." That night, all firstborn of Egypt died, from the son of Pharaoh to the sons of the Egyptian slave woman. At last, Pharaoh told Moses that he would let all of the Israelites leave Egypt. So they gathered their things, took what their neighbors gave them, and left Egypt, carrying the bones of Joseph with them. The Exodus. This is when they exit out of Egypt. Exodus 12 through 18. The Lord led the Israelites to the Red Sea. Pharaoh sent his soldiers after them. The people with Pharaoh's army on one side and the Red Sea on the other side. Moses cried out in fear and anger, "We should have stayed in Egypt. Did you bring us here," the people said, "to be masqueraded or drowned? What kind of leader are you, Moses?" they shouted to him. The Lord told Moses to lift his staff, and with a mighty roar the waters of the sea rolled back and left a wide, dry path for the Israelites. Slowly they began to cross the Red Sea floor, which means the ground. I don't know why they put floor. "Amazing," they whispered. "Our God is the Lord," cried a few. They gazed in awe at the massive walls of water surrounding them, with all the creatures they can see on the right and on the left of them. All night they moved in a line across the sea. on dry ground. Pharaoh's army pursued them, but the Lord threw the army into confusion. The chariots' wheels flew off, the horses reared and bucked, and captains lost their sense of direction. Before the army could retreat to safety, the Lord told Moses to stretch out his hand once again, and the walls of the water crashed down upon the Egyptians and drowned them all. The cries of the Egyptians reached the ears of the Israelites, and they hurried on. They saw the power of the Lord. They feared God and respected, and they quit complaining for a little while. After a few days in the desert, the people got very thirsty. They had walked a long way, and the desert was hot and dry. Even as the slaves, they had not gone this long without water. The Lord promised his people that if they listened to him and obeyed him, they would not suffer like the Egyptians had. He sent them quail and fed them manna, which is bread from heaven. He watched over them and took care of them. And then here are the 10 Commandments in Exodus 19 through 32 and Deuteronomy chapter 34. The Israelites had wandered in the desert for about 3 months. When they came to Mount Sinai, Moses climbed to the top of the mountain, and the Lord came to him and gave him the laws by which his people were to live. Moses stayed up on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, listening to God. The people in the valley below got restless. They cried out to Aaron, Moses' brother, "Moses is never coming back. He has left us here to die on the plain. Make us a god of gold that we can see and worship. We are tired and bored." So Aaron took their gold plates and jewelry and made a calf of gold for them to worship. They sacrificed animals to the idol they had made. They were foolish and disobedient. At last, Moses came down from the mountain. He saw what the people were doing, and he was very angry with them. How could they abandon the God who had plagued Egypt and parted the Red Sea? Moses was so angry that he threw down the stones of tablets that the Lord had given him and smashed them to bits. Then he destroyed the golden calf. The Lord punished the people because they did not believe that the Lord could lead them into the promised land of Canaan. None of that generation except Joshua and Caleb, 2 men who were trusted by God, were allowed to go into the promised land. The people wandered in the desert for 40 years, and Moses himself died on the top of the mountain of Nebo. As he died, he could see the land to which he had led his people. The promised land in Deuteronomy 33 and Joshua 1 through 5. After the death of Moses, Joshua was filled with the spirit of wisdom. He became the leader of Israel. At last, the Israelites were about to enter the land that God had promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their descendants. The Lord said to Joshua, "Be strong and brave, Joshua. Just as I was with Moses, I shall be with you. You and your people will cross into the promised land in 3 days." Excitement was so high as everyone prepared for the crossing. On the 3rd day, the people gathered by the Jordan River. The priests went before them carrying the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark was as beautiful wooden chests plated with gold that held the stone tablets of which God's laws were carved into. As soon as the priest's feet touched the water, the Jordan stopped flowing from upstream. The people crossed on dry ground. The priests stood in the middle of the riverbed as they passed holding the ark. The people came near Jericho. Jericho was a large city with a powerful army. But the Lord assured Joshua that he would help the Israelites to conquer it. The Lord told Joshua to take all the armed men of Israel and march them around the city once a day for 6 days. And on the 7th day, to march around the city walls 7 times with the priests blowing trumpets. The Lord promised that if the Israelites did this, the walls of the city would collapse and Jericho would be theirs. Joshua did as the Lord said. He was strong and very courageous. On the 7th day, with a mighty shout, the walls trembled down. God gave the city to the Israelites. Gideon's 300. This will be found in Judges chapter 6 and 7. The Israelites settled in the land of Canaan. Soon they forgot all the wonderful things God had done for them. They worshiped other gods. The Lord allowed them to be ruled by other nations because they had not been true to him. The Midianites went to war against the Israelites. Soon God's people cried out, "Lord, help us." The Lord chose a man named Gideon to lead the people. An angel appeared to him and said, "Gideon, the Lord is with you. You are a mighty warrior." Gideon said to the angel, "I am a weak man. How can I lead the people?" The Lord said to Gideon, "I will be with you, and you will strike down the Midianites." So Gideon gathered an army, 32,000 strong. "You have too many men," the Lord said to him. "Too many men to fight the Midianites." But Gideon did not doubt the Lord. "If anyone is afraid to fight," Gideon said, "he may go home." 22,000 soldiers left. "Still too many," the Lord said. So Gideon took the men to the water to get a drink. 300 men cupped the water into their hand and brought it to their mouth. The rest kneeled down to drink. "Take the 300 men into battle against the Midianites," the Lord said. Gideon obeyed the Lord. Gideon gave each Gideon gave each of the 300 men a flaming torch covered by a clay jar and a trumpet. At about midnight, they quickly surrounded the enemy camp. At Gideon's signal, the men blew a loud blast on their trumpets and then smashed the jars so their torches blazed in the dark. They shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." The Midianites were so terrified by the sudden noise and the light surrounding them that they panicked. They became confused and attacked each other. The Midianites fled, and the Lord gave the Israelites the victory. So, as we have read about Joseph, we have read, well, we didn't get into all about Jacob. Jacob was Joseph's father. And then Joseph wanted his bones to be buried in the promised land. Then we read about Moses, the deliverer. So I just want you to remember that God blesses us with courage. And at the end of any battle, God makes us victorious. Dianana loves you, and I pray that you get rooted into God and read the word for yourself. And most of all, God loves you.